is Molly. Welcome to Purpose, where we are plugging away, going through the Bible, reading the stories, and then relating it to our own lives. How do the stories in the Bible relate to us? And the whole reason for doing this is to get closer to God, to love Him more and more every day, and to build a relationship with Him. The Bible is our roadmap to loving God and doing whatever it is He wants us to do. And so we left off on Genesis chapter 30, verse 25. So we've been talking about Jacob and his wives Leah and Rachel, who are sisters. No stress and struggle there. And all of their kids. So far, we're at 11 boys and 1 girl. That's 12 kids in 7 years. Now remember, their maids, Bilhah and Zilpah, had 4 kids between them. So, they've just been very busy, those newlyweds. And Rachel's going to go on to have 1 more son, Benjamin, which will make 12 boys, which is going to make up the 12 tribes of Israel. So that's a spoiler alert. But anyway, excuse me, I've got a cold. Jacob's been working for his uncle Laban to pay for his wives, Rachel and Leah. He had to work 7 years for Leah and then 7 years for Rachel. 14 years he's been there working for Laban. And Laban has just prospered with Jacob there. Jacob increased his flocks and his herds, and he brought him in a lot of money, and Laban knew this. Laban had like nothing before Jacob came, but Jacob was a hard worker, and he was blessed by God. So he must be remembering what his dad Isaac taught him about God. He's probably still praying. I don't know, it doesn't say, but probably. And he's just increased Laban's wealth quite a bit. But now his 7 years are up, and he goes to Laban and tells him, look, my time here is done. I need to go back home. So Jacob, by saying he needs to go back to the land of Canaan, back to the land that God gave to Abraham, who then gave it to his son Isaac, he's saying, I need to get back to God. I need to get back to my roots. I need to get back to my family. He's willing to face Esau again, his brother, who he knows was trying to kill him. That's why he had to go to Uncle Laban's house. But he's ready to go back, face his consequences, and be with God again, live in his own land. We're all trying to get home. Our home is heaven with God. And if that's our end goal, to get back home and be with God, then that needs to be in the back of our head all the time. That needs to be, everything we do needs to be focused on that. And that's what Jacob's going to do now. He's focused on getting back home and getting to God. Well, Laban doesn't want him to leave because Jacob's brought him a lot of money and wealth. And so he told him, all right, you go out into my flocks and my herds. Whatever I have that's speckled or mottled or striped, you can have. So back then, the best lambs were pure white. The best goats were a solid color. The best cattle were a solid color. If they had spots or speckles or stripes, they were considered lesser. So he's saying, you can take the weaker, the lesser of the animals. And so Jacob was like, sure, yep, I can do this. Maybe it was Jacob that had this idea, letting him know, I'll take the lesser. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and read it. But anyway, Jacob was going to get the speckled and spotted animals. Well, Laban told his boys, go take all the speckled and spotted animals, spotted animals out of the flocks and herds and hide them somewhere. Go 3 days' journey, hide them from Jacob. Well, Jacob's got God on his side. Laban doesn't believe in God. He has lots of gods that he believes in. I'm sure Jacob prayed on this because he wouldn't have come up with this one on his own. And God must have told him, take a stick, peel all the bark out of it, put it into the water or whatever they get their water out of. And when the sheep come to drink, they're gonna, do what sheep and goats do. and they're going to breed and have lambs. When they breed in front of that stick, they'll have spotted lambs or striped lambs or whatever. So every time the strong sheep came up to drink, boom, that stick went in the water. They would breed, they'd have spotted offspring, and they'd be the strongest. When the weaker ones came up, boop, back out goes the stick, and the weaker animals would end up being all white, pure solid color. And so Jacob built up a big herd for himself of these spotted and mottled and striped animals. Even though Laban took all of them out of the flock, Jacob was able to get some. And I'm sure Laban did not like that, and his sons were mad about it, and they were starting to, there's talk going around that they need to get rid of Jacob because, he's just taken all of the good sheep and goats and leaving them with the crappy ones. So Jacob's hearing about this. He knows the boys are mad. He knows Laban's mad. He knows his time is limited. So he tells his wives, Leah and Rachel, we got to gather up everything. And by this time, they've got maids and servants and, shepherds and stuff. They don't travel light. And so he said, we got to pack up everybody while Laban and the boys are off shearing. And we need to skedaddle. We need to go back home. And the girls were like, we got nothing here. Dad sold us to you. And he's changed your wages 10 times. Laban's not been fair with Jacob. He doesn't care about us. Our kids are getting none of this inheritance. It's all going to go to the boys. What do we got to lose? We're going with you, Jacob. So they packed up everything while Laban and the boys were off shearing. And Rachel snuck into her dad's house and stole one of his idols. Laban believed in lots of gods. He prayed to lots of fake gods, fake idols. And he probably had something that was gold, like a gold idol to represent one of his gods. That was money. Rachel wants a plan B in case this whole thing with Jacob doesn't work out and they get there and, they're poor as mice and they got nothing. She's going to take a little insurance policy along with her. And maybe she's trying to get a dig at her dad in there. I don't know. But she stole it from her dad. Well, I'm sure Laban's not going to like that. And he's also not going to like Jacob leaving with all the strongest of the lambs and the goats and the cattle. Even though he told him he could have all the spotted ones. Laban's not being fair. He wants it all for himself. And he doesn't care a lick about Jacob or the girls and their kids. So what can we learn from this? Excuse me. I think there's a lot in here that we can learn. We can be honest even when people aren't treating us fair. If we give somebody our word, we're going to stick by it, even if they're not being honest and fair with us. But when it's time for us to go home, Jacob had to take care of his family. When it's time for us to get closer to God, we need to do that. We can't let anything get in the way of us getting back home to heaven. We've got to do whatever it takes to get closer to God. And that's what Jacob's doing. He's getting back home. He's getting closer to God. And he's not going to let Laban get in his way. And he's going to bring his family with him. You can't go to God by yourself. You got to take your family and your friends and anybody you can with you. How can you take them with you? You can pray for them. Pray for them all the time. And I don't believe in preaching to people and, you need to do this and you need to do that. But I do believe in telling people what you've learned, how God has helped you in your life. And that's what Jacob's telling him here. God has helped me. He's made me get wealthy with these animals. Trust in God. Come with me. And we can tell that to our family and friends. This is what God's done for me. This is when I was struggling and how God helped me. And that's how we bring people with us. So Jacob's going to go back home. He's going to face Esau, which can't be, it's got to be scary for him. And he's getting back to God. And that's what we need to do. We need to get back to God by reading the Bible, by praying, by hanging out with God, by talking to him. and by bringing as many people as we can with us back to God. Well, I hope you all have the best day today, and I pray that God touches your heart and gives you all the wisdom and the love you need to build a relationship with him, to love Jesus the way he deserves. And I also pray that the Holy Spirit comes to you and gives you the strength you need to trust God no matter how it turns out. Jacob doesn't know how this is going to turn out. None of us know how things will turn out. But we got to have faith in God that even if it doesn't go the way we plan, he's going to take care of us. Have a great day today, everyone. Bye-bye.